Alright, so good day, freshman students. This is Ma'am Marge, and this is another week of series of video discussions for Gen 001 Purposive Communication. Alright, so for this week, we are going to be discussing Module 3 and Module 5. Okay, now you might be wondering why we are discussing Module 5 instead of Module 4, okay, because Module 4 is scheduled for your quiz, okay, so we'll be having our quiz, our first quiz for Gen 001 by next week. So again, for this week, we are going to be discussing Module 3 and Module 5, okay? Now for Module 3, this is entitled Communicating for a Purpose. Okay, so this is now the topic wherein we're going to delve into further why our subject is called such purposive communication. Why is our subject called purposive communication? So here now we're going to be discussing Module 3, which is communicating for a purpose. And here are your learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify skills for effective communication, and you should also be able to identify different purposes of communication. All right, now for us to greatly or totally define what purposive communication is, or what purpose of communication are we dealing with, okay, so let's talk about purposive communication. So when we say purposive communication, this is a flow of information or exchange of messages guided by an awareness of intent and context, okay. So when you say purposive communication, this is more than just plainly communicating with other people with a purpose, okay. So it's somehow a totality of the different ways of communicating that includes, writing, speaking, and presenting to different audiences, okay. So in other words, all right, it is a course that would help us to convey more of the messages to our listeners, to your readers and receivers, okay. So it's a vital skill to learn. Purposive communication is a vital skill to learn, wherein it would help us to communicate well, and it would help develop the communicative competence that would make us, communicate effectively. Okay, so it's not just important to our course, it's rather, it's important for everybody else's as well, since all of us need to communicate in order to understand and to be understood. Okay, so that's why when you say purposive communication, this should be, this should be done by all, this should be learned by all. Okay, because communication is not a one-way process, okay, it's a two-way process, meaning to say you are communicating at the same time the person you're talking with, the person you are conversing with is also, it's also doing communication. All right, so when it comes to purposive communication, we have different kinds of purposive communication, and it's being categorized into different classifications. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, we have different types of communication based on, number one, purpose. Okay, so there are types of communication wherein the purpose is to inform, and that is what we call informative communication. So the main goal, okay, for informative communication is to, help explain a specific subject and to help the audience remember the knowledge later. So in this case, a very good example of informative communication would be reports, okay, lectures such as this one, okay, that we're doing right now. Okay, this is an informative communication because I am discussing a topic and you are learning from it. Okay, training, seminars, and demonstration. Okay, so again, the first kind of communication based on purpose is to inform, and that is informative communication. Next kind of communication by purpose is to persuade, And that's what we call persuasive communication. All right. And when you say persuasive communication, this is any message that is intended to, shape and reinforce or change the responses of another or others. Okay. You are persuading, you are performing this kind of communication because you wanted to persuade another person. You wanted to persuade another person to change their mind, preferably to change their mind and agree with yours. Okay, so a very good example of this one is when you are trying to to convince your parents to allow you to go out with your friends. Okay, if you are, if you wanted to go out with your friends and stay up until a bit quite late in the evening, okay, you're doing a persuasive communication because you wanted your parents to allow you to stay up late in the night. Okay, so that's persuasive communication, and the purpose is to persuade someone to change their belief. Okay, next, when we say when we have another classification here by purpose, and the purpose is to narrate, and that is what we call the narrative communication. And when you say narrative communication, this is based in using stories to communicate information or opinions. Okay, so most people are accustomed to using narrative communication when they recount. Okay, the keyword there is to recount, recounting instances in their own lives to other people. If a person is trying to tell a story of what happened to, say for instance, he or she went to an overseas trip, okay, and that person, that friend of yours, is trying to narrate what happened in his or her trip, okay, overseas trip. Okay, so that's a narrative communication. So in a narrative communication, there is a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an ending. So when it comes to narrative communication, the best example for this are fairy tales. Once upon a time, okay, that's the start of a fairy tale, okay, and then it will end with "and they lived happily ever after." Okay, so that's a narrative communication. It starts with a definite beginning, and then in the middle part, and then finally on the ending part. Okay, so fairy tales are good examples of that. Problem solving as well. If you have been presented with a problem, okay, you are going to narrate the steps on how you are going to solve the problem. Okay, so that's narrative communication. Okay, you tell a specific story. You inform somebody of a specific story with a beginning, with a middle, with an end. Okay, so there is a chronological order of events. Okay, so that's narrate. So again, inform, to persuade, and to narrate. Okay, so what else? So another kind of purposive communication by purpose is to express emotion, and that's what we call affective communication. So in effective communication, this refers to expression of feelings about things, others, and themselves. Okay, in effect, okay, expressions of positive or negative or even neutral feelings about something or someone is also an expression of that individual or group's values and beliefs. Okay, so when you do effective communication, this is usually seen as an opinion or judgment about feelings. So if someone tells you a certain idea, okay, and you communicated to that person with a strong emotion, a strong negative emotion, then that tells something about how you judge their idea. Okay, so that's effective communication. So when we express or disclose an emotion in our communication, so it's like, I don't like that. Okay, I love this car, or I'm not sure how I feel about this. Okay, so those kinds of sentences are all under effective communication. When you express what you feel, whether that's going to be positive or whether that's going to be negative. Okay? Now, lastly, for classification of purposive communication by purpose is to entertain and create, and that is what we call imaginative communication. So when you say imaginative communication, this is the the process through which invented situations are created and in most cases shared, okay, making up ideas and stories. Okay, when you read a sci-fi novel, okay, when you read a sci-fi novel, book, okay, or a paperback or an electronic book, okay, when you read the sci-fi novel, you tend to imagine what's happening in the book, okay, and when you imagine what's happening in the book, that's already the way of the author using imaginative communication to communicate with you. Okay, so whenever people invent jokes, speculate, daydream, or make believe, okay, when a person appreciates fictional message found in books, okay, magazines, newspapers, films, television, dramas, plays, and conversation. Okay, so when you're reading a book, when you're reading a novel, and you are imagining what's happening in the novel, that is imaginative communication already. Okay, when a fictional character presents a strong point in a novel, okay, that's already an imaginative communication because it makes you, as the reader of that novel, imagine what the feeling of the characters are feeling during that time. Okay, what the author is trying to make you feel. Okay, even if the novel is a fictional one. Okay, so that's imaginative communication. Now, we also have another kind of communication basing in context. Okay, so when you say classification of communication based on context, meaning to say what's in it. Okay, what's enclosed in these kinds of communication. So there are three kinds of communication based on context. So we have personal, academic, and business. So when you say personal communication, this includes conversations, text messages, private messages, okay, and live speeches, unrecorded courses, lectures, memos, letters, messages from non-archived discussion groups or online bulletin boards, social media, shared with friends only, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's a personal communication. When you communicate with others using text, using a letter, an email, okay, that's a personal type of communication. Now, for academic communication, which is also called scholarly communication, okay, this refers to, methods of communication that are highly structured, okay, and generally only used in pedagogical settings. Okay, academic communication can include words and structures used to express ideas, as well as the methods by which ideas are disseminated. Examples of academic include workshops, seminars, courses in academic communication, your syllabus, okay, your syllabus, wherein it presents you with the list of lessons, okay, that you are going to take for this course for the whole semester, is an example of an academic communication. We communicate our courses, our lessons through the syllabus in order for you to be able to be informed of the different lessons to be discussed for the whole course of the semester in this subject. Okay, that's academic. Now for business, okay, business communication is the process of sharing information between people within and outside a company. Okay, so for us to have an effective business communication is how employees and management interact to reach organizational goals. Its purpose is to improve organizational practices and reduce errors. Memos inside a company, an organization, that's a business. That's a business type of communication. Okay, when the human resource department sends an email that is directed to everybody, then that's a business kind of communication because it involves all the people in an organization. Okay, and these kinds of communication, or this type of communication, is meant for the people within the organization to work together in order to realize the company's goals and objectives. Okay, so those are the different types of purposive communication by context. Next, we have purposive communication, types of purposive communication by skills. Okay, so we have verbal skills and we have non-verbal skills. Okay, so when we talk about types of communication wherein it's basing on the skills, the verbal skills, okay, we have to have a very good listening comprehension, which is, listening comprehension is being able to understand, fully understand what you hear from other people. Okay, reading comprehension is being able to understand what you read. Okay, written. Okay, oral expression is being able to express yourselves in the best way that you can, and of course written expressions. Whereas for nonverbal skills, this talks about the volume of your voice, your tone, your posture when communicating, your different facial expressions. Okay, let me share one thing about me when it comes to facial expressions. My friends would always say that I am the type of person that doesn't need words to convey what I feel, okay, because you can see my emotions in my facial expressions. They said I'm very good at expressing my feelings through my facial expressions. Okay, so that's also one way for you to communicate. You don't use words, yes, but you can see, or they can see your expression. They can see how you feel just by looking at your face or facial expressions, your gestures. Okay, your gestures when you are doing a speech, when you are reporting, and you have a lot of hand movements, it explains something. Okay, maybe you are just too nervous. That's why you are trying to divert other people's attention to your hand movements. That's why when you are reporting in front of the class or in front of a group of people, you tend to have a lot of hand movements because you wanted them to focus on your hand movements and you wanted to divert your nervousness into your hands. Okay, how you appear. Okay, your space, multimedia, those are all non-verbal skills that aids in purposive communication. Okay, now, what if? Okay, so yeah, we're nearing the end of our module 3 discussion. Okay, so what if? Supposing that the different purposes of communication were types of people. Okay, so which person or purpose would you be and why? Okay, so share your thoughts and ideas and comment down below. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 3. Let's move to lesson 5. Okay, and lesson 5, all right, is entitled Writing a Cohesive Paragraph. Okay, so this time we're not just going to be dealing with specific sentences, but we are going to be discussing how to create a cohesive paragraph. Okay, so for module 5, here are your learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to identify the basic structure of a paragraph, and you should also be able to use a basic framework to write a cohesive paragraph. But before we could get to the technical part of creating a paragraph, let's try to answer this first. What is a paragraph? What is cohesion? Okay, so when you say paragraph, it's a brief piece of writing that's around maybe or probably 7 to 10 sentences long, okay? And it has a topic sentence, okay? It has a topic sentence and supporting sentences that all relate closely to the topic sentence, okay? That's a paragraph. Now, there are three main parts of a paragraph. Number one is the topic sentence, which contains the main idea of your paragraph. And you also have the supporting sentences or the supporting details that relate to and support the topic sentence. Because this gives, the supporting sentences are the ones giving color to your topic sentence, okay? Topic sentence cannot survive on its own without the supporting sentences. Yes, you're going to mention your topic sentence. So what about your topic sentence? Of course you have to have details about your topic sentence. And lastly, okay, we have the concluding sentence, which is the brief reflection or statement about the main idea. This is like summarizing the whole thing, okay? Now for cohesion, this is the intangible glue, okay, that holds the paragraph together, okay? Having good coherence in a writing project means that your ideas stick together, okay? Because sometimes there are people who, yes, they create long paragraphs, okay? Paragraphs that have a lot of sentences in it. But if you try to look closely at the sentences that they have created, it doesn't link, okay? It doesn't link together. The ideas doesn't stick together, okay? And having good coherence in writing means that there is a flow, or there's a smooth flow from one sentence to the next, so that the readers of your work can easily understand where you are taking them, not jumping from one idea to another. Yeah, we have written a lot of sentences in that one paragraph, okay? But it's not actually the number of sentences you create that makes a paragraph, cohesive, okay? It's how one sentence links to the next sentence. It's how the ideas come together in order to form one cohesive thought. Okay? So that's cohesion. Now, how many sentences are there in the paragraph? It varies, okay? It varies. But for the purpose of our lessons for today and for the succeeding lessons, let's try to do a 5 to 6 sentence paragraph that has one topic, one claim, which is the main idea, and 3 supporting evidences, and 1 conclusion. Okay? Now, so this is now the technical part. Okay, so how do you write a cohesive paragraph? So we know already the meaning of paragraph. We know already what it means to write a cohesive paragraph. So this time, how are we going to write a cohesive paragraph? So first and foremost, there you go, you have to rack your brain for a good topic. Okay, most of the time, or sometimes, you will be able to find a topic that is based on your interest. Okay, so sometimes what you're interested with or in is a topic for your paragraph. Okay, so you do brainstorm. You try to think of your interests, okay, as your topic. And then after you brainstorm, you identify your topic, and then you decide on your claim or the main idea of your topic. And then after which you list the evidences that support your claim. Okay? And after you do this, after you brainstorm, after you have identified your topic, after you have already decided on your claim, and after you have listed evidences that support your claim, now is the time for you to write your draft. Okay, so we said a while ago that we're going to be focusing on a paragraph that contains 5 to 6 sentences. Okay, so sentence number 1 would include your topic. Okay, sentence number 2 would include your claim or your main idea on the topic. Sentences 3, 4, and 5 will be details, will be evidences that support the claim and the topic. And lastly, for sentence number 6, we have here the conclusion. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Okay, so say for instance you were given a writing activity and you were prompted to write about your university. Okay, and the purpose of writing this activity, or this writing activity, is for you to express your opinion. So who are going to read and listen to your opinion? It's gonna be yourself, your peers, your teacher. Okay, so let's go to the brainstorming first. So what's gonna be the topic? It says that the writing prompt is to write about your university. So the topic is to write about your university. It's about university. So what's going to be your opinion on the university? It depends. Okay, say for instance you are expressing your excitement on your university. Okay, so your claim will be exciting. So your main idea about the topic will be how excited you are about your university. Now, what are the different details? What are the different evidences that you're going to put in order to support the main idea, which is the fact that you are excited about your university? Okay, so that's how you're going to do the brainstorming. Now for the draft, okay, so sentence number 1 would be the topic, sentence number 2 would be the claim, sentence 3, 4, and 5 would be the evidences, and lastly your conclusion. So if I may give an example, okay, this is sample draft. Okay, so it goes like this. Okay, so you can see here the first sentence is the topic sentence. Okay, that's the topic sentence. The second sentence is the claim about the topic sentence. Okay, so the thought here is that the person is a freshman at our institution, and the claim is that, you know, the student is very excited. Now the succeeding sentences after the claim will be details of how that student is excited at his or her new school. So the one sentence says, I look forward to the new ideas and topics that I will encounter. The phrase I look forward means he is very excited. Okay, that's how he describes being excited. Okay, because he's looking forward. All right. Next, I like that I will get to experience. I like that I will get to experience. So this is another sentence, or this is another phrase that describes how excited that student is. Okay, I am also very glad that I can finally start my college education despite the pandemic. So he's very, the student is still very much positive looking, or the outlook in life of this student is so positive that he, even with the pandemic that we are facing, he's still excited to go to school. Okay, and lastly, this last sentence, this is the one that summarizes, okay, all the thoughts, all the details. And he says, I look forward to the many things the university has to offer for a freshman like me. So this is a very good example of a cohesive paragraph. You have a topic, you have a claim, you have the supporting details that all answers to the claim of your topic, and finally there is a conclusive sentence that would summarize all the things that you have said into one. Okay, so I'll be showing you a video, okay, and this talks about paragraph cohesion. Okay, all right.
Hi there! Today we'll be learning how to write a cohesive paragraph. A cohesive paragraph has three key elements. First, it has only one key point or focus. Secondly, it is supported by multiple details. And third, it uses transition words. Here is an example paragraph. Timmy went a lot of places when he ran errands yesterday. First, he went to the grocery store to pick up bread for lunch. Also, he bought some peanut butter, jam, and bananas. When Timmy was walking to the library, he passed his neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins. Finally, Timmy went home after finishing most of his errands. Is this a good example of a cohesive paragraph? No, actually it's not. This paragraph has multiple focuses. In the topic sentence, it shows that this paragraph will be about the places that Timmy went. However, it gives details about what he bought and the fact that he passed his neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins. While these may be important details, they are not related to the places Timmy went, so this does not have one clear point or focus and is not a cohesive paragraph. Let's look at another example. Timmy went a lot of places when he ran errands yesterday. He went to the library to return some books. Timmy went to the grocery store to pick up bread for lunch. He did not have a chance to go to the mall to buy a birthday gift for his sister. Timmy went home after finishing most of his errands. Again, the topic of this paragraph is the places that Timmy went. It talks about how he went to the library, the grocery store, the mall, and home, and thus it has one key point and includes supporting details. However, it does not have transition words, so it is not a cohesive paragraph. But what even are transition words? Transition words can be used to move smoothly between points. First, you can use them to show the order of ideas. Additionally, you can add new ideas. However, you can also show contrasting ideas. And finally, you can conclude your... Here's our final example. Timmy went a lot of places when he ran errands yesterday. First, he went to the library to return some books. Also, Timmy went to the grocery store to pick up some bread for lunch. However, he did not have a chance to go to the mall to buy a birthday gift for his sister. Finally, Timmy went home after finishing most of his errands. Let's look at the transition words we used. First was used to show the order of events that happened. Also was used to give an additional detail of where Timmy went. However, shows that he was unable to go one place, and finally concludes his activities. Thus, we now have one key point that includes supporting details and uses transition words. Congratulations! Together we have created a cohesive paragraph.
Alright, so very informative. Okay, the video is very informative in a way that it teaches us on how to write a very cohesive paragraph. So it says there, has one key point, uses transition words, and there is one conclusion. Okay, there's a conclusion. There's a summarizing sentence at the end of the paragraph. Okay, so pro tip. Okay, on paragraph cohesion. All right. Using the work of other writers as a model for stylistic and cohesive features is one way for you to improve style and cohesion in your own writing. Yes, you can apply the different styles of other people's way of writing as your own, okay? But it becomes plagiarism. However, if you copy another writer's information or ideas and present them as your own, okay? So yes, it's okay to apply the styles and features of how other people write, but it becomes plagiarism if you copy word by word, okay, of what they have written, of what they have said, okay, and present them as your own, okay? You can get sued for this, okay? You can get sued for plagiarism. All right. So, alright, that concludes our discussion of Module 3 and Module 5 of Gen 001. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more videos on our purposive communication lessons. Okay, thank you very much. And until our next discussion, bye guys!